looks like the London Marathon is going from strength to strength as a record-breaking 1.1 million people have applied to run in the event in 2026. The ballot results are out today ahead of next year's race taking place on the 26th of April. And those results will be sent to all applicants over the course of today. So those who have been successful can now start planning to take on the marathon course from Greenwich to Westminster, and of course the all-important training. It follows this year's record for the most marathon finishers, with more than 56,000 crossing the line.
First, a special report into claims that Uber is making huge amounts of money from dynamic pricing, but passengers and drivers are being left worse off. A study by Oxford University found that the more money a trip costs, the bigger the fee taken by Uber. Researchers told ITV News the system is exploitative. Now, dynamic pricing, which changes prices depending on demand, was introduced in 2023 and saw Uber make a profit for the first time. The company says it improves the service for everyone, but as our business editor Joel Hills heard from some drivers, they say they're earning below the minimum wage.
Double the number of households will receive £150 off their energy bills this winter after the government changes the rules over who qualifies for the Warm Home Discount.
She's still our Mavis. She always was bright and cheery, and she still is.
A blow for Alzheimer patients as two new drugs which can slow the disease are deemed too expensive for the NHS.
Good morning. The Bank of England will announce whether or not it's cutting interest rates later today. I'll look at the impact that rising prices and events in the Middle East might have on that decision.
I just want you to know that I love you. I forgive you for everything. I'm really proud to be your son.
The celebrity chef Heston Blumenthal explores his bipolar disorder and its effect on his loved ones in a deeply personal new BBC documentary.
Also tonight, a Chinese PhD student living in London who drugged and raped 10 women in London and China has been jailed for life. Police urge other potential victims to come forward. The UK has recorded its hottest day of the year, more than 32 degrees Celsius, as heat health alerts in England increase to amber. And Royal Ascot's spectacular hats, how the royals have now stepped in to help young hat makers of the future.
A woman's been arrested on suspicion of murder after a 69-year-old woman was stabbed in her home in London. The body of Jennifer Abbott, who is said to have acted in Hollywood under the name Sarah Steinberg, was found last Friday. Police are investigating whether her death is linked to a missing diamond-encrusted Rolex watch. And Morrison says it's bounced back from disruption caused by a cyber attack last November. Group sales for the supermarket chain grew to £3.9 billion for the latest quarter, but it warned inflation is having a negative impact on customer behaviour. The health spending watchdog, NICE, has defended its decision not to provide two breakthrough Alzheimer drugs on the NHS in England and Wales. NICE ruled the treatment is not cost-effective as it only slows onset down by 4 to 6 months, and patients need to have frequent brain scans to check for bleeds. Charities have called the decision disappointing. One patient who's paying privately for the treatment told ITV News it's given him a sense of hope. Ahead of tomorrow's historic vote on assisted dying, we'll tell you which MPs are expected to support the bill. Smashing through the sea ice, we take the same perilous route in Antarctica as the explorer Ernest Shackleton did more than a century ago. The Wales women's manager announces the Euro squad from the country's highest peak. Protecting your pets from the dangers of the sun and what to do and what not to do.
And the temperature surpassed 32 degrees today. It's officially hot, but is it officially a heat wave?
Weather warnings are in place as temperatures hit 30 Celsius for the first time this year. Emergency services are braced.
Going into the weekend, it's going to get even hotter, but it's also coupled with the pollen is very high over the next few days. Put those two things together, it creates a really busy environment for us.
Yeah, we also find out ways to keep cool in the heat. Also tonight, a woman found fatally stabbed in her home and with tape across her mouth. A 66-year-old woman has been arrested. 40 lorry loads of rubbish dumped on land in Hertfordshire. We speak with a furious farmer. And
your love is magic, do you know that? Does magical things to people.
I speak to the director and stars of Lollipop, a film about a woman in London fighting for her children after leaving prison. Police have started a murder investigation into the death of a 75-year-old man found dead in Chiswick in October. It comes after it was confirmed the head injury sustained by John Murray was caused by an assault. A British man has been missing for 10 days now after going on holiday in Brazil. Denis Kopanov from Southwark was last seen leaving his accommodation in Rio de Janeiro on the 9th of June. His personal belongings, including his passport, were found in his Airbnb. Tottenham Hotspur have been fined £75,000 by the FA following homophobic chanting by their fans during a win at Manchester United last year. Spurs have condemned the chanting, saying it was simply unacceptable. The club vowed to take the strongest possible action.
Iran warns of hell in the Middle East if the United States joins the conflict with Israel. Both sides have exchanged fire for a sixth day. This hospital in Israel was hit by an Iranian missile, injuring more than 70 people. Iranian state TV shows smoke billowing from a nuclear facility that was hit as Iran warns America not to get involved.
President Trump will be remembered forever for a war that it was not his war but dragged in.
To the Middle East now, where Israel has condemned an Iranian attack which saw a missile hit a hospital in the south of the country. 71 people were reportedly injured in that bombing and almost 200 more in other Iranian attacks. Israel also launched further strikes against Iran, but no update has been given on casualties. And as the conflict continues, the world waits to see what military action, if any, President Donald Trump will take. With the latest, here's our correspondent, Debbie Edward.
Sirens rang out, shattering the morning peace and scattering the birds into the sky across Tel Aviv. Israel's capital was once again under attack. We could feel the city shake, and several loud blasts were heard before it became clear that one missile had made it through the Iron Dome and struck at the heart of the business district.
The shelter, we are sitting in the shelter room. The door was slapped away.
Madar lives just next to where the missile landed. She, like most, had made it to shelter, and offices in the area were already closed. Iran had sent some of its most powerful missiles in this latest barrage, and Israelis found out their prized defense system is not infallible.
It's a tsunami of bombs, not from the sea, from the sky.
At the same time this morning, Israel targeted another nuclear facility in Iran. Most Iranians have heeded Israeli warnings to evacuate, but this young man has decided to stay. He told us he's afraid of arrest by the Iranian regime and scared of Israel's bombs. He feels stuck in the middle, not knowing what to do. A week into this war, there is no sign of a let-up from either side. This missile strike on the largest hospital in southern Israel has triggered ominous warnings from the Israeli government. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Iran would pay a high price. The Soroka hospital had mostly been evacuated, so there were not any serious casualties. But today, patients were being moved to safety.
There was a fire and a heavy black smoke. War zone. What can I say? War zone.
There is a crater in the roof of one of the older buildings where the missile struck.
All of the windows in the building were blown out by the power of the blast. We can see that many of the ceilings have collapsed, and here on the ground there is a mound of rubble, of bricks, door frames, pipes and boxes of medical equipment.
Any missile that makes it through is a win for Iran, but this hit on an Israeli hospital could lead us into a more dangerous and decisive phase of this conflict. Debbie Edward, ITV News, Southern Israel.
Well, all eyes are on Donald Trump's next move. So let's get the latest from Washington with our US correspondent, Dan Rivers. So what are we expecting to happen next, Dan?
Well, within the last few minutes, Charlene, the press secretary here, Caroline Levitt, has said, given the significant potential for negotiations with Iran, a decision on whether to take military action against Iran will be made within the next 2 weeks. So that clearly suggests a longer time frame than perhaps we were led to believe before. The president had spent the morning, or certainly some of this lunchtime here in Washington, in the Situation Room with his National Security Council. He had pushed back on this reporting from the Wall Street Journal suggesting that he'd already signed off on the plan to strike Iran but hadn't made the decision yet, tweeting out earlier on, posting on Truth Social, the Wall Street Journal has no idea what my thoughts are concerning Iran. Obviously, there is a diplomatic track which is still ongoing that will carry on in Geneva, and I think from what we've heard now from Caroline Levitt just in the last few minutes, it seems like that they want to give that diplomatic track some time before they completely give up on it and commit to joining Israel in some sort of military action. Now, the question obviously is, will Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu be prepared to wait for that 2 weeks, or, as there has been some reporting around, suggestions that perhaps the Israelis will try and do something on their own, although they do not have the B-2 bombers and ground-penetrating munitions that would be needed to tackle this facility from the air.
OK, Dan, thanks very much. Well, here the Prime Minister's urged Donald Trump to step back from military action against Iran. So Keir Starmer warned it could deepen the crisis in the Middle East.
Are very concerned about the nuclear programme that Iran is developing, long been concerned about that. Also completely recognise Israel's right to self-defence, but the principle is that we need to de-escalate this. There's a real risk of escalation here that will impact the region, possibly beyond the region.
Well, our international editor Emma Murphy is in Iraq near the border with Iran for us tonight. And Emma, the Prime Minister, is he right to be concerned about where this could lead?
Oh yes, without question, and it is a concern that is shared in capitals and different parts of this world, and with very, very good reason. That statement that's just come out from the White House saying that President Trump is likely to take up to 2 weeks to decide whether or not he is going to actually do this strike will be taken with a very significant pinch of salt in diplomatic and intelligence quarters, where there is very much a feeling that this is something that is likely to happen far sooner than that. There have been talks, we understand, between Steve Witkoff, who is President Trump's negotiator, and the Iranians. But the feeling from those I'm speaking to is that they are very much window dressing, that they are not likely to achieve very much. And the Iranians are still holding to their position that they are happy to talk, they will talk, that they do not want to build some kind of nuclear weapon, but they will not get into discussions whilst there are still attacks coming in from Israel. Of course, Donald Trump says that nobody knows what his decision is on this. Indeed, maybe he doesn't at this point, but for sure, people all around the world are rightly incredibly concerned about what that decision will be when it comes.